Now this is the photograph. You know, it's iconic. It's on the front of the book, and it's as I said, it's the second best photograph ever taken of a pole vaulter. Look at it, absolutely inverted. The pole is still bent. It's still bent, which is amazing. But this is one of my boys, 17 years old. He jumped 530, 17.3. Does that look a bit the same?
Yeah.
They look rather similar?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a bit of bad luck. The year he should have won the World Juniors, 1996, he put his ankle in a rabbit hole and broke his ankle in March. I was overseas, and how do we get there? So let's have the sound now, please, my dear. But he continues to put energy into the system through the vicious whip swing of that left leg. Look at that left leg. This swing flexed. To the core it's a bit flexed. Yours is straight. And then you see it move up through his body to force that pole to bend so that it rolls forward quickly. It also maintains the energy in the system so that he can continue to swing up to cover the pole. And this is where the Petrov magic kicks in. Because now he's in a position both to put more energy into the pole and to position himself to drive vertically. Let's see what happens as he drives his hips up and drops his shoulders down towards the pad. There. Punching the hips up, shoulders coming down, punching the hips up, and then turning, spiraling off the pole to push over the bar. Just simple stuff, really. It is simple stuff. Now, here we have Wendy Young doing what we would call a Bubka drill, where she replicates. No, I don't use that anymore. Punching of the hips and with the shoulders coming down. I don't recommend it so much because coaches get careless and might let you go. Drill will begin to get athletes the feeling that they need. Having said, you can do this drill until the cows come home. You may not be able to do it in the vault. But here we can see Wendy replicating almost exactly the same position that she was in on the bar. So here we have a 17-year-old girl who's been jumping for 2 years, Lauren Ely. We've seen her before, but look at her, swinging to the cord of the pole, putting energy into the pole, swinging up to cover the pole, and from there punching the hips up while the shoulders are going towards the pad, and away she goes over the bar. Now this is a relatively easy thing to learn to do, especially if the athlete works on a high bar, as we see here. The long whipping swing puts energy into the bar and into the pole. There we see the same sort of positions that the athlete's getting to on the pole. In a minute we'll see Isinbayeva replicating those positions. The hips are pushed forward, just like a trapeze artist. Hips are pushed forward to get the pre-stretch. Then the left leg accelerates to the cord of the pole and then up to carry the athlete almost into a vertical position. Almost into a vertical position. So now we look to see Isinbayeva. Hips are pushed forward. Look at the knee. Look at the left foot. Pre-stretching the body. Look at the left leg. That whole of the body down to the left knee. All stuff we've talked about. Swing to the left. Immense energy going into the system. Now, because of the relationship between the work on the high bar and the real vault, there is likely to be a lot of transfer of skill from one to the other. This is critical. Any drill must be related to the real activity if there is going to be transfer of skill from one to the other. However, there are important differences, and we must recognize those differences if we are going to continue to help our athletes improve. So, for example, the athlete swings to the cord of the pole, but it is impossible to swing into a vertical position with the body completely extended like that. So in the vault, the athlete must break at the hips. This shortens the axis of rotation. Should be radius of rotation. Them to watch her break at the hips up and move into a vertical position on the pole. By breaking at the hips in this way, the athlete speeds up the rotation and is then in position to exploit the recoil of the pole while the pole is still flexed. This is really important. This simple exercise replicates that movement, where the athlete rolls the pelvis up towards the bar. This bridges the gap between the long swings we were doing on the bar and the activity the athlete needs to do to get into a vertical position on the pole. So we look at it again, this long extended position, and from here she breaks at the hips and rolls the pelvis vertically upwards so that she is in a perfect position to exploit the recoil. Isinbayeva does this better than any other vaulter in the world, so that despite the fact she has a relatively poor takeoff, she is still able to attain fantastic heights. Amazingly, this clip of Lauren Ely shows this even more clearly. She swings to the core of the pole in a very solid position. Now she's going to break at the hips, and the energy of that swing is transferred into the hips. That helps her begin to roll the pelvis high and to position her for a continued extension up the pole and over the bar. These exercises are additional exercises. It's interesting to note that Lauren Ely did virtually none of these exercises. They are useful, particularly to build strength, and in the case of giant swings, they build confidence, which is really important.
None of my athletes did this.
So we'll just watch.
She had done a bit of gymnastics. She'd learned to do giants. She wanted to show off, and since she was on the film, I let her do it.
Catches up with the left leg, punches the hips forward, catches up with the left leg.
You do not have to be able to do that.
Recommended for ordinary athletes without supervision. It is critical that if you're going to do this, you have a coach who knows how to teach you and how to keep you safe, because this is a potentially dangerous activity. Valuable, but potentially dangerous. We, in our system, have selected very simple exercises. This is one of them. This is simply long swings. It's not being executed perfectly, but the idea is to take off and swing to replicate the first part of the movement. And again, repetition is the key. Hundreds and hundreds of simple drills will help you become an effective pole vaulter. We've seen this drill before. Athletes love it. But again, it's designed to teach the first phases of the inversion. All you have to do, going from a soft pole, which enables you to swing like that, move to a stiffer pole, 8 steps, the pole is now going to pick you up, and you are essentially replicating the whole vault.
Okay. Now, if we could go back to this first chapter, but if we could skid through part of it, is it possible? The first chapter